All right, so you heard all these things about having to restrict your calories in order to lose weight, right? You have to be in caloric deficit. But then you heard all these things about fasting and how great that is for weight loss. And there's so much mixed information that you don't even know which way to go anymore. And you're starting to lose hope. Let's clear things up, shall we? Today we'll talk about fasting versus calorie restriction. Which one is it, huh? Which one is your final answer to that anticipated weight loss? Well, you're about to find out so that by the end of this video, you're feeling hopeful again, you're not confused anymore, and you know exactly what to do next. First, we'll define each, then we'll talk about how it affects your metabolism, and in the end, I'll share pros and cons and share my results of when I used each when I was trying to lose weight in the past. And if you are truly someone who is feeling hopeless, don't worry, I get you. I know how you feel. I've myself been overweight, underweight, overtrained, injured, slowed down metabolism, had a thyroid issue, messed up my hormones, you name it. And all this while I was in health and fitness industry, competing in amateur bodybuilding, boxing, and kickboxing. You're not the only one that's confused. Most of my clients, when they first come to me, don't know which way to go. And they'll say things like, I don't even know what's real anymore. I have so much conflicting information in my head, I feel overwhelmed. Don't worry, this is why I'm here. This is why I want to share with you all my mistakes and the lessons I've learned so that you don't have to waste your time anymore. And by the way, I'm Lex. Nice to meet you. As you can hear, I have a little bit of a cold, so I apologize for sounding a little bit nasal. Okay, let's dive into each right away so that you know what it is and how it works with your body. Or does it work with your body? You're about to find out. Okay, so what is calorie restriction and how does it work? Obviously, you restrict your calories, which means at first you have to determine how many calories approximately you're eating right now, and then calculate how many calories you would then need in order to lose weight. Sometimes you get these apps, or you can go online and find these calculators that tell you based on your age and activity level and goals how many calories you should reduce. So let's say you're eating around 2,300 calories a day and you're at a set weight, which means you're not gaining or losing, but you're wanting to lose. That means your body needs 2,300 calories in order to maintain that weight. Nothing would change. So then you say, okay, I need 1,700 to 1,800 calories per day to lose, let's say, 1 pound of 2 a week for the next 8 weeks. That could be about 15 pounds, and that makes me happy. Now I have to track every day that I make sure I don't eat over 1,700 to 1,800 calories. Sounds mathematically sound, right? By reducing your calories, you lose weight. Simple enough. Well, not so much. But before we get into what happens metabolically, let's talk about what fasting is and how does it work. So fasting differs from calorie counting because it's not about the calories at all. You're not counting calories, you're looking into the timing. You're simply choosing a window of a few hours, whether it be 10, 12, 6, different protocols offer different things on when you're eating, and then the rest of the time you're not eating, you're just drinking water. So there are protocols such as 16-8 is the most common one that you can hear about, 24, OMAD, 1 meal a day. There's also the extended fast, which is 2 or more days, and that one can be water fast, where you're drinking only water, or even a dry fast. Nothing you should be trying out right now without having enough information about it. Now, I have tried a longer fast and failed at one. If you want to watch that video, check it out after this one. So again, the most common one you hear is 16-8, which means for 16 hours you fast and for 8 hours you eat. Typically, people are not hungry in the morning, so they have lunch, dinner, maybe some snacks in between, and that's it. And that helps you not mindlessly eat or snack after the hours. So in other words, fasting is different because it focuses on when you eat rather than how much or what you eat. That's the key difference between the two. Now let's talk about how each impacts weight loss, because that's what we're here for, right? So let's go back to the example of eating about 2,300 calories a day and then choosing to reduce to 1,700 to 1,800 calories per day. Now, the body has stored body fat for a rainy day, for when it doesn't have enough food. So with that said, when you drop down to 1,700 calories, your body drops the weight because it cannot maintain that 2,300 calorie need. But because now you're eating 1,700 calories regularly, your body is recognizing that, hey, she is not eating more than this anymore. So we need to do all that we normally do at 1,700 calories a day, meaning your body slows down your metabolism and starts acting the same way as when you ate 2,300 calories now at 1,700 calories. So yes, there was the initial weight loss, but in a long run, your body has adjusted, your metabolism has slowed down, and now you're stuck at 1700 calories. But you have a few more pounds you want to lose. Now you have to reduce down to 1300 to 1400 calories. At some point, you're at 1200 calories and you can't take it anymore. You just feel too deprived and too restricted. There's no food on your plate, and you go back to your 2300 calories because that's where you feel the most satiated. Now the body has extra 1000 to 1100 calories to work with, and what does it do? It stores it as body fat because it's not being used. And this, my friend, is how you end up yo-yoing. Now, there's another dark side to counting calories, which is what I experienced. That is the mental and emotional side of things. You feel like your whole world is revolving around food. You can't take a bite without putting it in an app and calculating how many calories it has. You think about food all the time, and it becomes this obsession. Now, we can both agree when we're talking about weight loss, we're looking for a long-term solution where you don't have to deal with weight or calories or any of that kind of obsession anymore. You ideally want to be at a place where you can enjoy your food, not feel restricted, yes, have some conscious about what you're eating, but focusing on health rather than weight loss because you want to feel great. And losing weight is going to help that, but also changing your relationship with food is the key component to this. By the way, if you do want to know more about the psychology of weight loss, check out my other video after this one where I dive deeper into the mental and emotional and subconscious reasons why we do things the way we do them. And when you're tracking all of calories, again, you're not focused on health. You're not focused on what you're eating because you haven't changed your relationship with food. So you're trying to fit into your calories all the foods that you really want to eat. And that would be as if we're saying that calorie is a calorie, meaning there is no difference between 500 calories of broccoli or 500 calories of cheesecake. And we all know that it's very different when we eat calories from processed foods. So one of the errors of calorie restriction or calorie counting is assuming that all calories are the same. Our body releases different hormones and different chemicals and makes us feel different based on what we're eating. So when you're eating processed foods, you are more likely to want more of it, to therefore feel restricted and not satiated. But because you're reducing your calories, you never feel like you're having enough. One good thing about calorie counting is when you start tracking calories, you start being aware of what it is that you're eating and you start realizing how calorie dense or calorie packed certain foods are. And that can lead you to make better choices. Now, how does fasting affect your metabolism? Okay, fasting is something that our body is trained to work with. When you think about it, this is how humans lived for thousands, if not millions of years, because they would have to hunt for food, there was food, and then they had to hunt again. Sometimes there was no food for a while. This is why the body stores body fat for that rainy day, so that it can survive on body fat when there is no food. Fasting doesn't actually slow down your metabolism, but uses the sad body fat for energy, which is what it's actually meant to do. Also, digestion takes a lot of energy on the body. This is why when you eat a big meal, you feel like going to take a nap. Think about that big Thanksgiving meal. You're pretty much useless afterwards. This is also why when you get sick, you typically don't have appetite. It's because the body's using all its energy to fight off the bacteria or virus that it has attacked it. The last thing it wants is more food because then the energy has to go into digestion. So fasting helps your body do what it's meant to do. You store the body fat for energy and then use that body fat when there is no food and provide more energy. From the survival standpoint, it also makes more sense, right? If there was no food, but if we felt weaker and worse, we would never survive. We needed to feel better and more energetic so that we can go out there and hunt for more food. This is why you hear people that enter ketosis or fast for a while and they say, I don't know what's happening. I feel like I have more energy. This is also what you can hear runners sometimes refer to as the second wind, because as they're running, they're depleting all the glycogen sources in their body, which is carbs stored in our body for energy, and they're starting to use body fat to run. Fasting also lowers your insulin. We gain weight when our insulin jumps up and down. This is when we eat frequently. This is when we snack. This is when we eat a lot of sugar. Our insulin spikes. It makes us age faster. It deteriorates our body and every organ in it, and it makes us gain weight. With fasting, because you're eating only at a certain eating window, you're not eating the rest of the time. The rest of the time, your insulin is low, which again helps your body burn body fat. Now, if you're not eating for a long time, your insulin is low. Now you're about to have that first meal. Do you think that that first meal will spike the insulin up through the roof or not? Add a comment below before you hear the answer. I'm waiting. No, it actually does not. This was very surprising to find out when people started doing more research on fasting, because everybody thought you didn't eat for a long time, your insulin level dropped, your blood sugar is really low, so it's gotta be that it's gonna spike it up. But no, your insulin doesn't spike nearly as much as when you eat those small, frequent meals. How crazy is that? Now, during your eating window, when you're fasting, you are also more likely to eat less in that eating window naturally, because you're reducing the time when you're eating. That doesn't mean you're left feeling restricted or deprived, because in that eating window, you can still eat what you wanted to eat, but you are stuffing your belly, and therefore you're probably going to eat less, which makes you reduce calories anyway. Now, fasting is not always great. Some people need to de-diet first, what I call it. They need to get away from the dieting mindset, which makes them feel restricted, and they have to count the hours when they're eating, and it becomes too obsessive. If you're approaching it as a diet mindset too, you're more likely to try to eat in a smaller eating window, because it means losing more weight, and going too fast too soon will screw up your hormones, your whole body, your metabolism, and your body will make you gain the weight back. Women also need to fast differently than men. We have to fast according to our cycles. If you look at a 28-day cycle, in the beginning, right after we get our period, estrogen is at the highest. We can fast. Toward the ovulation, estrogen, testosterone, and progesterone are higher, and at that time we may want to go to a little gentler fasting, but that one still leaves us with a lot of flexibility. However, when progesterone peaks, which is the week before we get our period, there should not be any drastic fasting. Progesterone likes carbs, progesterone doesn't like fasting, and this is also why we crave carbs during that time. So you could damage your body if you're fasting in a wrong way, but more on that in a bit. Now we get to the main question. Which one is better for weight loss? Now that I've been in health and fitness for over 20 years, I've done both, and I've seen many people do both. And my vote goes for fasting hands down. Because with calorie restriction, if you don't already have a good relationship with food, which you probably don't, you are more likely to become obsessive with it. This is largely due to the diet culture that made us obsess over dieting, obsess over what we're eating, when we're eating, and obsess over failing when we don't do things perfectly. I feel like a lot of times people can't even cook without having to count calories if they have not changed their relationship with food. Every one of my clients fasts, but nobody fasts the same way. I fast, but I don't do it the same way all month long or all year long. This is the thing. You have to find what works for you, for your body, your metabolism, your schedule, your relationship with food, because we're looking to find a long-term solution that you can maintain, lose weight, and feel great, but not lose your sanity. By the way, if you're someone who's ready to make that permanent change when it comes to your weight, and you're done with yo-yoing and playing the guessing game, you may want to check out my membership, where I'll guide you step by step to what's the best choice for you, hold you accountable, check in with you regularly until you reach your goals. I'll leave the link in the description, read more about it, and see if it's the right course of action for you. Okay, now this is better. Now, when it comes to fasting, if you do it right, your metabolism was actually going to pick up. You'll have more energy. What's cool about fasting is it helps you cleanse your body on a cellular level, and it helps you even get rid of brain fog. This is the magic of giving your digestive system a break. I personally find it easier for me and my clients to focus on when I'm eating rather than counting the calories, because you feel liberated. Let's say you're skipping the breakfast and you're eating from 12 to 8. You're not thinking about food anywhere from 8 till 12 the next day. Again, if you're someone who's not hungry in the morning, this is an easy one for you to implement. It's also the easiest to implement with people's crazy schedules. If you're busy, if you're running around, driving your kids to events, if you are watching your grandkids, if your schedule is just crazy busy, it is so much easier to eat when you're eating and then be done and not think about another meal for the rest of the day. Counting calories slows down your metabolism over time and can lead to obsession. And because of that will lead you to feel deprived and very restricted, which are two things things that never work in a long run, where fasting can be implemented forever. If you think for the rest of your life, do you really want to be attached to an app counting every calorie, or do you just want to know, hey, I'm kind of hungry, it's time to eat? Which one sounds easier and more sane? Because again, when we're talking about weight loss, we're talking about long-term effects. Because who wants to keep yo-yoing? Seriously. Now, like I mentioned, as women, we have to fast differently than men. And this is very important because I've done the hardcore fasting, which left me with thyroid issue and hormonal imbalance. And if you want to learn how you need to fast as a woman, click on this video and watch now.